What's up, everybody? Metal Dave here, along with my co-host Jason McMaster, bringing you another episode of the Talk Louder podcast. Today, we are joined by Queensryche guitarist Michael Wilton. So happy to have him on the show. But before we get started with Michael, we're going to help you out with your holiday shopping list. We've got a great gift idea for you. It's this amazing photo book called Pictures Alive. It's more than 400 full-color concert photos shot mostly during the 80s. It's bands like Kiss, Motley Crue, Scorpions, Van Halen, Ozzy, Iron Maiden, Queensryche. It's an amazing collection of photos. And the cool thing is these photos were basically bootlegged. They were shot by a guy who smuggled his camera into the arenas during the 80s and shot these images. That guy would be Steve Roney. He's the photographer. Look at that shot of Van Halen. Amazing. But it's a 300-page book, more than 400 never before seen color photos of a lot of your favorite bands from the 80s.
I'd say it weighs about 5 pounds.
We had the guys on the show, Scott Davis and Steve Roney, who put the book together. They were on the Talk Louder podcast in the past, and we really got into depth on the book. Yeah, look at that. Gene Simmons, Breathing Fire. It's a perfect gift for the headbanger on your list, the hard rock fan. What I like about it is it takes me back down memory lane, but I think what's also cool about it is for people that weren't there the first time, it's a great compilation of what it was like to be in the arenas in the 80s when bands like Def Leppard and Scorpions and Motley Crue and AC/DC were just...
And Michael Schenker and UFO.
Yeah, the list goes on. And also, Steve tells the stories behind the images. That's the really cool part, too. So each section of photos, for example, if he's highlighting Judas Priest, he'll tell you about going to see Judas Priest at that concert and what it took to smuggle the camera in and things like that. So you get a little synopsis of the event itself.
He's got pictures of the actual ticket stub.
Yes.
On the spread. If you look here, for those watching, you can see the ticket stub under the title of each section. It's done super well. The episode we did with these guys, Steve Roney and Scott Davis, a while back, please revisit it because it's important that you know that these guys, Steve was like climbing up on people's shoulders with a camera that he snuck in, like shoved into his crotch. And this book weighs 5 pounds. You do the math. I think he got kicked in the face a couple times. I mean, everybody your whole rock world is in this book. These kick-ass photos of Iron Maiden holding up again. It just goes and goes and goes, and it's a great gift idea. It's a paperback, but it's put together extremely well. I've had this one for, I don't know, going on a year and a half now, and it looks brand new. Anyway, yeah, they did a great job putting it together. It's quality through and through. The Pictures Alive. Pictures Alive.
Pictures
website.
Alive.
You got a website, Dave?
Pictures Alive. Yes, it's available at picturesalive.net. We've both had a copy for a year and a half or so, and I continue to flip through it. And it's the perfect gift for your favorite rocker this holiday season. Check out the website, picturesalive.net. You can browse a little bit more about it. Check out our previous episode with Steve Roney and Scott Davis on the Talk Louder podcast. And go ahead and scratch that off your holiday list. Your job is done, and your recipients will be so thankful. It's awesome.
But today, Michael Wilton on the Talk Louder podcast, talk about, he might hate this. He's a fucking legend.
Yeah, well, Queensryche. I mean, come on.
They're still on the road. They're on the Origins tour. They're finishing up the second U.S. leg of said tour and about to start it early next year in Europe. And it's unbelievable. Me and Dave we got to see this tour a couple of times. I saw it on the Monsters of Rock cruise. I saw it.
Hell's Heroes.
Yeah. I mean, that was amazing. And I think that he talks about it a little bit. And Dave, I had almost forgotten that Christian Larson, for the promoter for Hell's Heroes, who also is in a bunch of bands too, one being Night Cobra. It was ultimately a seedling, Christian's idea. It's like, I'm Christian calling up Queensryche. Hi, Queensryche. How would you feel about playing The Warning in its entirety?
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the spawn, the spore that set off this entire thing. And it's kind of like, wow, that is a huge sort of accolade that Christian is very humble. He would not go, I just want people to have a good time and get to relive a memory on some songs they haven't heard in a long, long, long time.
Yeah.
I think that there's something very romantic about that. And we talked to Michael a little bit about that, as well as some other stuff.
It's been very well received. I mean, the fact that they're on the wrapping up the second leg of the tour, and then they have plans to go to Europe and South America next year, continuing the Origins tour. That says all you need to know right there. It's been so well received. I saw it in San Antonio a couple of weeks ago. It's fantastic. The fact that Queensryche has a singer named Todd LaTorre who can carry that material so well I don't think they'd be able to do it otherwise. So hats off to Todd. He's done an amazing job on this tour, and he's done an amazing job on the past 3 or 4 Queensryche records, whatever it is that he's been on. The most recent being Digital Noise Alliance, which I absolutely love. I tell anyone that's not familiar with it, it would work nicely right alongside The Warning, Operation Mindcrime, somewhere in that time period. Digital Noise Alliance. If you like that stuff, check out Digital Noise Alliance. Michael also has a solo record coming out. We should talk a little bit about that. It's called Whip Volume 1. Whip, of course, is Michael's nickname.
We find the origin of that today as well.
Yeah, we find the origin of the nickname, and we find out what the album is a little bit about. So be on the lookout for that as well. But yeah, great guy. So nice to have him with us. I'm just excited that Queensryche is still out there putting on quality shows and releasing quality albums. I mean, go see the Origins tour. It's amazing. You're in for a show when the first song you hear is Queen of the Reich. And then
true.
It just goes on and gets better from there. So, yeah. Happy to have him today. Michael Wilton from Queensryche on the Talk Louder podcast. Well, Michael, so you are wrapping up the Origins tour, but my understanding from our last conversation is you're going to pick it up again in the spring of 2025. Is that correct?
Yeah, in Europe.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so that starts in February and like 5 weeks, I think.
This tour has been really successful for you guys. I thought it was interesting that it kind of was born out of a promoter's idea to do The Warning and the EP as part of Hell's Heroes, and it was so well received. I don't know how many, you're on the second leg and going on a third, or a third going on a fourth, or?
Yeah, we're just finishing up the second leg on the U.S. Origins tour, and then we're bringing it over to Europe and the U.K. And, and after that, we come back. And then in March, we head down to South America, do the Monsters of Rock festivals, and figure out, what we're going to do next.
I'd say that's been successful then.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this was, like we said, it was born out of an idea from a promoter that said, hey, would you guys play the Warning album? And, our booking agent and manager, we just talked, and then they threw the idea of, let's maybe make a tour out of this. And then we decided, well, the Warning, is less than 50 minutes, and we're contracted for 75 minutes, or 90 minutes, or whatever the venue wants. And then, so we added the EP, and then we added a few encore songs.
It has been a huge treat for the old school fans to see I wouldn't say new band, but you know what I mean, to play the songs and completely do justice. And it Smiles for Miles, those tunes, you know, you guys have touched so many people's lives, even if they're a newer fan, you know, that missed it the first time with, you know, the original lineup or whatever. So how's that make you guys feel when you just play you know, someone's favorite song that may or may not, off the first two releases, that may or may not been in the set normally?
Well, I mean, we've noticed this tour, you know, the audiences are multi-generational. I mean, there's
Exactly.
obvious a lot of young kids checking it out, you know, and so I mean, we're ecstatic, but definitely the old schoolers, you know, maybe they've gone on and you know, they're executives now or bankers or whatever, you know, and stockbrokers, but they're coming out, they're just going, oh my God, you know, I was just listening to this the other day and I've never heard it, you know, with the impact that you brought it, and it just brought back so many memories, and doing it, you know, exactly like the album, same key, same running order, everything, and it just so many people have just reminisced and just said thank you for doing this tour.
Yeah, I'm one of them. I saw you in San Antonio, and it was incredible. And I took a buddy of mine with me, and he's a Queensryche fan as well. But he hadn't listened to the Warning album in quite some time. And the comment that he kept making was, I forgot what a classic, solid album this is. I mean, it came out in 1984, I think. And I don't know, maybe it got overshadowed by other albums or whatever, but when you revisit it in person and you're listening to it, you go, oh yeah, I remember that song. Oh yeah. And, you know, it's a solid record. And what's even more impressive is it was basically your first proper studio release, and it stands up after all this time, and the older generation is still going, yeah, that's right, that was a great album.
I think The Warning is a classic record, time over time, many times rediscovering, and people are going to discover it for the first time again, inadvertently. And I just want to go on to say the EP is a classic to me. I remember the day that I bought it and what I bought with it at the record store. I bought the EP, Queensryche EP, and I bought Merciful Fate, Nuns Have No Fun EP the same day. So I'm literally running to the turntable with both of those records, one on top of the other, changing, you know, just like, oh my God. And like, I remember I ended up having some kind of soiree. I invited like 10 or more of my friends over, and we just put both of those, the Mercy record and the Queensryche, on just over and over, flipping both of them over and over and over for hours. And we wore them out day one. And if that's not a sign to, you know, I'm creating some, at least in my own mind, some kind of, both of these bands are going to do fantastic things for loud music, for metal, for loud rock, and guitar players and drummers and singers. And I reminisce often about that day and those records. And then of course, you know, Melissa came out and The Warning came out, and I did the same thing all over again. And it was kind of changing, you know, heavy music was changing rapidly at those times. And I saw both bands as quickly as I could, as soon as they came through. I saw you guys with Quiet Riot, I think, in Austin, at a big airplane hangar in downtown Austin, Texas, the Austin Municipal Auditorium. I don't know if you remember that gig.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, you know, we were kind of just thrust into the industry after the EP, you know, and we had been writing these songs, you know, and so when we were, you know, asked to play like with Twisted Sister or come to a festival in Texas or whatever, you know, we were playing these songs before they were on the album.
Yeah.
Which, you know, was pretty bold during those days, but it was, it was a necessity. We had to do it. And I think what really the impact that the Warning songs made was just because, they were written to play live. We were a guitar band, and it was, we took it to Japan. I mean, we did it all. And then finally we did the record, and then, and then it just took off from there. But, basically going out and playing all these songs live when people don't even know what they are, and taking that chance. And, fortunately back in those days, people welcomed, the idea and the new music.
Yeah.
I feel like you mentioned festival and Texas, prior or just before The Warning is released. Surely Joe Anthony in San Antonio had already been playing the shit out of Queen of the Reich and Lady Wore Black. I mean, probably every weekend, just wearing it the fuck out. And I know that for a long time, firsthand, in 83, whenever the hell, 1,000 years ago that was, that for a while there, Michael, every band from San Antonio wanted to be this mix of Maiden, Queensryche. And every singer had the vibrato and the operatic thing, every fucking singer. And so every band that I would play a show with or go see in San Antonio with my friends had this whole, and they would cover your songs, and they would, okay, now we're going to play our original music, and it sounds like Queen of the Reich and Lady Wore Black, every song. And I'm laughing like it's funny, but it's not funny. The impact,
they kind of reshaped the idea of heavy music. But
and I almost sound like I'm saying it was borderline annoying that every band for a couple of years just wanted to sound like that. But I'm talking more about the impact that the music had and why this tour has been a success, as Dave says, and the reason why. And obviously there was and is a reason why. And it's not just about retro or any of that bullshit. It's like changed the scope and the landscape of how a hard rock or a heavy metal song can be played and written and have smart lyrics and still have fantasy and everything put together in a progressive way that's not going to alienate just, an AC/DC fan. Because it works.
Yeah, and it's amazing, when we were recording the EP, Graveyard Shift, and when it was finally mixed and we had our cassette, mastered cassette, and we took it to Easy Street Records and they got behind it, and we were still working day jobs, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And, our idea was, okay, this is pretty heavy stuff. And in Seattle right then, it's top 40 radio. And so we figured, oh yeah, they'll probably push the Lady Wore Black, and I'm at my desk and we've got the radio station at the time and it was KZOK. All of a sudden I hear Queen of the Reich and I go, oh my God, they're playing this on the radio, And then, of course, we're trying to tell everybody, call our friends and everybody, yeah, that's us. They're going, that's not you guys. That's some band from Europe. That's a UK band. That's not you guys. And it just, there was so much excitement and it just took off from there.
Did you bring up Seattle? Obviously, you guys are from that area, but was there ever any talk of relocating the band to LA or New York to try and better, launch the career where the industry was, or were you pretty adamant about either making it or breaking it from your hometown?
Dude, we were 19, 20 years old, we were still living at home or, in apartments and trying to figure out what we're going to do with our lives. So, as far as relocating, there's no business plan or master plan like that. We were just taking advantage of, opportunities, situations, and just going with the flow and just doing, what happened and what we believed in. Yeah, I mean, the whole business side to it came a little later.
Yeah.
We were just like excited that people liked our music.
So you were kids doing the EP on, Graveyard Shift on a shoestring budget, and then you go do the Warning. You fly to England and work with James Guthrie, who had done Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a sharp contrast. Kind of compare and contrast the two. Again, you're 21 years old or something like that, and you went from this to that in the space of one release.
Yeah.
Compare and contrast. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously, the success of the EP, we signed with EMI America, EMI Records. And so they kind of financed the deal and flew us over to England. And we lived in flats in the West End. And I mean, it was an eye-opening experience. I mean, being over there, just, riding the tube, learning the lingo, sampling all the loggers.
Yeah.
But yeah, we recorded the Warning in different studios, and one was a church, one was we did the orchestration was done at Abbey Road Studios.
Far
I mean,
out.
it was monumental. I mean, we were just just blown away at all this attention we were getting, and yeah, the outcome of the album, it was just like we were so excited for this, and
Yeah.
And then it was getting ready to be mixed and mastered, and then all of a sudden EMI came in and said, "This is so special, we want our guy to mix this album." And we went, "What?" So they they basically took it away from James Guthrie. We had this kind of thematic, way of running order and how we wanted the album to go. And then all
So
of a
was
sudden, it was taken, to because there was a single,
Wow.
Take Hold of the Flame and
yeah.
really accentuate the vocals and so yeah, that it was kind of a love-hate thing,
Yeah.
but regardless, the music and the songwriting stands on its own. So
Yeah. Are you saying the running order was taken out of your hands and reconfigured? Because I know you guys are very proud of putting together a cohesive whole listening experience. Is that what you just said?
yeah, if you I mean, I have the James Guthrie version, and it's a little different.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I did not know that. Know that. So what is James Guthrie? I mean, you're a young kid overseas in a studio with the guy who produced The Wall. What are you learning from him as a young upcoming musician, and him being, obviously an experienced producer with The Wall to his credit, one of the great albums of all time?
Oh, I mean, everything. We were sponges. We were just absorbing everything. I mean, just things like just being in the studio, being comfortable in the studio, and knowing sounds and how it's like we'll be in booths with headphones and playing together like that, and certain things recorded a certain way, and then he was great at like experimentation. We had back then these Roland guitar synthesizers that we were using, and just really no limits as far as creativity, and just I think after we were fans of Pink Floyd, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, wow, let's see what we can do
Exactly.
with James, and yeah, it was definitely a magical time.
Yeah. So you told me that as a teenager, you were a jock, like you were way into sports, and then you went to your first concert, and things kind of changed. Was number one, did you ever consider sports as a career? And number two, tell us about the first concert that was the Epiphany.
Yeah, I mean, in junior high school and high school, I was in sports, so that's like seventh grade to 12th or whatever, and I played baseball, and I was good. I was second baseman, third baseman sometimes, and but I my background with my family, my dad had a vast record collection, so I was always listening to his records, and I was absorbing music of all types at an early age as well. But I was into sports. That's what my friends were doing, and so in high school, it's like I thought, wow, this is like really political, because certain guys are being played ahead of me because they're a senior. And, it's not the best guy. It's more of a, well, give him a try, because it's his last year at high school. And I rebelled against that,
Wow.
And then hence, Van Halen comes out, and everybody's listening to Van Halen. And I got tickets to the Black Sabbath concert where Van Halen was opening. And I think it was the Never Say Die tour.
Yeah,
Right.
like 79. Yeah.
Yeah. Good memory. We were in the nosebleed section, I saw they opened up with On Fire. And,
Oh my God.
and my jaw
Yeah.
dropped, and it was, Epiphany. I was like, oh my God, that was so cool. The energy, David Lee Roth jumping up in the air and doing the splits, and the guitar solos were just incredible. And I just went, holy crap.
Yeah. Well, you know what? There's a younger generation that's watching the Origins tour, and they're having the same thought, except they're going, you know what? I'd never seen Queensryche before, and then I go see them, and they open with Queen of the Reich. That's the same thing,
Talk
man.
about doing the splits.
Yeah.
Nobody in your band has to do the splits if it's Queen of the Reich.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
the splits are being done in a different way, I think. From the opening note, I think that it's a gun,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah, Todd kills it. I mean, when we open with that, it's like jaws drop in the audience, and people start moving, and and it's like banging their heads, and
there's
like,
I want to say there's zero elephant in the room when I say this, but jaws are dropping on the doubters as well.
oh yeah,
Fuck yeah.
It's constantly, there's a lot of pressure on Todd.
Sure.
But the reinvention is well documented already, and I feel like there is not anybody else that can be your singer ever again.
When is the first time you saw or heard Todd?
Ooh, good question. Yeah.
I never heard him. I met him first, and a friend of his said he was a really good drummer, and I was doing solo stuff, and I go, oh wow, could you possibly drum to some of my demos? And we hit it off and talked and everything, but I didn't know he was a vocalist.
Right.
Wow.
I was introduced to, he was a drummer, and he, The Warning was his favorite album. And then when everything started to happen, he goes, oh, by the way, I did this karaoke version of Eyes of the Stranger. And, you know, I put my voice in it, and, you know, and I listened to it and I go, oh my God,
Yeah.
this guy's got some pipes, you
Yeah.
know, and I remember I played it for Chris DeGarmo, and he goes, why are you playing me this song with Jeff on it?
Yeah. He's
And I
that
go,
good.
that's not him. He goes, what?
Right.
I like how it was
that good.
I like
So
I can see
instantly, let's fly this guy, you know, to Seattle.
Wow.
Let's start rehearsing.
yeah.
And I remember our first rehearsal. You know, back then, the old Queensryche, you know, it's like we didn't touch the EP or, you know, and it may be Lady Wore Black or something like that. And it's like, so we were kind of in that mindset. And so we start the rehearsal, and Todd goes, all right, well, what's the first song you want to work on? Yeah. And we go, well, yeah, what do you want to work on? He goes, how about Queen of the Reich? And we looked at each other. We're like, all right, this is going to be a disaster. And basically, I remember Parker Lundgren was in the band, and his jaw dropped because they have never heard of it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? And Eddie's like, oh my God, that was effortless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's, so yeah, there were no auditions or anything. This just kind of happened by chance, you know.
I love how you put it. It was Todd going, oh yeah, drums, cool. By the way,
Yeah. I sing a little. Yeah.
that's my favorite part of that story.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, I got this whole thing. Yeah, yes, karaoke, whatever.
Hey, before we get back to Queensryche, tell us a little bit about, you mentioned you were working on some solo stuff when you were first exposed to Todd. You have a solo record coming out very soon. Tell us, compare and contrast that, because I've heard you quoted in the press as saying it's not an extension necessarily of Queensryche. It's something different.
Yeah, it's when you hear it, it's not, you know, operatic power metal or anything like that. It's I don't know, kind of more 90s hard rock.
Okay.
Okay.
And just songs, you know, it's not a bunch of flash. And it's just something I've worked on, and you know, and our producer Zeus, you know, was in contact with me, and we had discussions of how to not make it sound too similar, you know, to Queensryche, and so there was you know, a plan in that, as you know, obviously fans are going to go, oh, I hear your guitar tone and your style of playing. But when they hear the songs, you know, it's a different animal.
Yeah.
Much like Todd's solo record is a different animal on, you know, 180 degrees the other way. So, but it's just, you know, I'll let people make their decisions on it. And the people that have heard it, you know, dig it.
I heard is it the single comes out on November 22nd or the album comes out on November 22nd?
Yeah, Rat Pack Records is releasing the first single on the 22nd of November, and then December 6th is the full release.
What's the title?
Whip Volume 1.
Your nickname.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay.
How'd you get that? How'd you get that nickname?
When I was a teenager, there was a group of guitar player guys, musicians that I hung out, and we'd always get together and show what we've learned on the guitar. And, you know, one guy just said, wow, you whip on the guitar. And then I think it was that night at a kegger, you know, he goes, someone called me Whip, and they go, who's Whip? You know, what's Whip? You know, what's this all about? And it was born out of that.
Wow. Okay.
And it's stuck with me,
Wow.
since then.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we look forward to hearing that.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, and wish you success with that as well. Let's go back to Operation Mindcrime, a landmark album not only for Queensryche but for progressive metal, I guess, if you will, as a whole. Everybody points back to that album as being a classic, a masterpiece, because it was so. I'm just going to say non-traditional in terms of songwriting at the time. Were you surprised by the success because it wasn't just verse, chorus, guitar solo, chorus, and done?
That was a big part in our history because we had split with the management, and we had signed with Q Prime Management, who manages Metallica, and at that time Def Leppard and a bunch of other big bands. And they said, as far as doing a conceptual album, go for it. And we were like, okay.
Wow.
And Jeff had this wild idea, and that he had experience in Canada, and basically he had the idea, and we just wrote the songs to kind of fit it. Yeah. Chris and I did a lot of the writing. Chris did a lot of the melodic, parts, and melodic lines for vocals and everything. So, but yeah, we released it, and it was kind of just in limbo, right? Until MTV started airing, I think, Metal Shop or something. And we went in debt and did this video for Eyes of a Stranger, and it just took off.
Yeah.
And thanks to MTV, back when they played music videos of rock music, it took off for us. And because we were with Q Prime, we landed a opening spot on the Metallica tour and Justice for All. And
I saw that tour in Houston.
Saw it in San Antonio.
Yeah, it was good shit.
Yeah.
So it was a great moment. It was a great moment in kind of once again, like heavy music was growing again at that time. You guys were, and that Injustice record, not to get off topic, that was a fucking barn burner of a record, to say the least, and their most progressive moment.
It was a badass record.
Unbelievable.
It was great, opportunity for us to tour with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys, you guys have toured with a wide range of bands. It's almost like, it's interesting that you've done like tours with Metallica, but also Bon Jovi, and you toured with Twisted Sister, and you've been paired with like really extreme heavy bands, and then bands that are in the hard rock genre, but a little more poppy maybe. But it seems to work. What does that say about Queensryche? You guys, to me, it just says you have a very diverse audience, and your songs somehow are able to please both audiences, which I think is kind of rare.
Yeah, and I think it's the development of our writing style and how we tried to make every album different from the previous album. It was more of taking chances and going this way. And then, for Mindcrime, we did Empire, which was more just songs, right? Just crafted Queensryche songs. And, it hit with the public taste and popularity. And so I think that portion of it, kind of was attractive to bands like Bon Jovi and AC/DC and Rat,
Right.
But, the older recordings obviously are more attracted to, Metallica. We've done Dio, Ozzy Osbourne. We've done, festivals with Slayer,
Yeah.
and then we played with Bon Jovi. So it's yeah, I think our fans are very diverse.
Yeah, there's some omnivore going on. I think Queensryche is an omnivore as far as style, and I like it that you guys have always taken chances, and then your origins, I can't help it but bring up Merciful Fate, which is makes me think of just old Priest and old Iron Maiden, where you guys are young and you're teenagers and you're writing the first 5 or 10 tunes, whether they end up on the EP or the Warning or not. I feel like your early sort of, lack of terminology, just good old power metal roots are still here. But you think about a record like Rage for Order, where it's a little mod and you're using what sounds to the layman, just regular old ears, sounds super like almost industrial at times, and like trippy and dancey a little bit. And I love that record, and I'm a headbanger. And I think that there's something when you stretch out either side of Rage, and then you end up with Mindcrime and Empire, and just even where you guys are now.
Yeah.
It's just kind of, our philosophy was, never to be or act like rock stars. We considered ourselves musicians.
Yeah.
And we had a unique blend of the influences of the individuals, as far as their musical tastes and everything, that when put together, creates our music. We're not worried about trends.
Yeah.
We're not worried about moving to LA or New York to find a gig or whatever. We're just doing what we like. And, and that's, it's like people try and ask me, how do you describe your music? I don't know how. It's me, that's your job.
Yeah.
You describe it and label it, but we don't. It's just we just do what we do.
Yeah.
And we've made an amazing career because of it.
I think your catalog speaks to that. It's just the point you were making earlier. Like there's a difference between every album. You didn't find the recipe for success and then start to duplicate it. You always continued to take chances and do artistically what you felt like doing. And it worked.
It also feels like, if I may, to me that you're not going, okay, this new one has to be totally different, guys. We can't, you're like that. It seems like to me, it's just a natural progression that you're moving into another place in your head when you're writing.
Yeah, we're growing as musicians, and we're still, learning new things and experiences, and which will fuel, the creativity.
Yeah. And you also mentioned, Michael, that your philosophy. Well, the fact that you had one is, you know what I mean? Because a lot of bands don't. They just go, "Hey, that's pretty cool." A
lot of bands wait for the industry to shape their philosophy. They go, "Okay, that was the magic recipe that I was just talking about. Now we need to do it 10 times." And you guys aren't.
And that's that's great for some bands, but that's just not the path that we chose.
I wanted to take a minute here and just rave about Digital Noise Alliance. That album came out 2 years ago, and it's an incredible album. And I think it stands up nicely alongside any of what people would consider your classic works. It's a great, great record. And it got a lot of spins in my car and in my house. And we saw the tour a couple times. And so, yeah, I know you don't want to repeat yourself, but that was definitely, in my opinion, a great effort on your part.
Yeah, that recording, we decided to just start from the beginning. All new riffs, melodies, ideas as a band.
Yeah.
And just build the songs that way. So a lot of riffage, I guess.
Yeah.
That these songs were born from, and it was very refreshing because when you have all the guys in the room, we're not sending demos over the internet or anything. Everybody's shaping the song and
engagement.
Right, and it's for lack of a better terms, it's just fun.
Well, it's awesome that you have a singer who can sing you a riff,
right?
And play air drums and sing you a drum groove and whatever.
Listen to this. He can also play guitar. He can also play bass.
Yeah. So that's you've got a monster, and you're taking advantage of the monster. It's fantastic. Obviously, to say I've befriended Todd is I find out something new about the guy every time I see something. Just even on the, he's it's never ending what he's been able to give to you guys, and I know that you appreciate it. I love you tried to describe the looks on everybody's face as you said Parker, and when you guys heard Todd sing in the room with you, and then it just kept on. It was another, and by the way, all these by the ways just seem like they keep happening. I have a question about Digital Noise Alliance. Stoney bringing riffs, and you guys just kind of like playing riffs. He's bringing in some stuff. Everybody's sort of bringing in riffs.
Yeah, he came into the last part. Of it, and he added a dimension.
Wow.
That.
Yeah.
It's going to be exciting. He and I working together on the next Queensryche album.
Yeah.
It'll be more solidified. It'll be more, cohesive, I guess, as far as guitar players are.
Yeah.
Well, you raised the bar high on Digital Noise Alliance. I think it's an amazing record. I wanted to ask one last silly question, and then we'll let you go because I know you got things to do. I wanted to ask you what the most extravagant thing is that you bought for yourself when you started having some success and making some money.
Well, I mean, obvious the things, I have family and everything, so a house.
Yeah.
And then guitars.
Guitar. I knew guitars was going to be on the list.
You got to have somewhere for your family.
That's about it. I wasn't a fast car guy. I wasn't, I come from a family that, you learn to, I guess, save your money more than spend it all the time. So I try and be responsible as I can, but just on this tour, the last tour, I think I bought like 6 guitars on the road, and it's like this tour I've curbed myself and I've only bought 3, so I'm doing a little better.
Do you have a number on? Are you keeping track? Do you find I think I have a guitar like that around here somewhere. Do you have a list written down?
An inventory.
I over the years, I mean, obviously back in the 90s when you got a guitar company behind you, they're throwing guitars at you because you're playing them live, and you accumulate a lot with every tour. So you can only imagine how many I have.
I can't.
Yeah. Michael, thank you so much for your time. For me, thank you for your time again. And for our Talk Louder audience, thank you for your time today for the first time. The Origins Tour is amazing, folks. If you get a chance, anybody watching this in Europe, when they get to Europe in the spring of 2025, go check it out. It's amazing. If you haven't heard Digital Noise Alliance, do yourself a huge favor. That's an amazing record. And of course, Michael has his solo record coming out very soon, so we'll look forward to that as well. On behalf of my co-host, Jason McMaster, I'm Metal Dave with our special guest today, Michael Wilton from Queensryche on the Talk Louder podcast.
Thank you, Michael.